Good morning, grade 1. Today I'm going to read you the book called Tyrannosaurus Drip. Cover of the book. In a swamp besides a river, where the land was thick with veg, lived a herd of duck-billed dinosaurs who roamed the water's edge. And they hooted up the river, and they hooted up the reeds, and they hooted up with bellyfuls of juicy water weeds. There we go. Dinosaurs that love the juicy water weeds. Now across the rushy river on a hill the other side lived a mean Tyrannosaurus with his grim and grisly bride. And they shouted up with hunting, and they shouted up with war, and they shouted up with bellyfuls of duck-billed dinosaur. But the true Tyrannosaurus, so grisly, mean, and grim, couldn't catch the duck-billed dinosaurs because they couldn't swim. They muttered down with water, and they muttered down with wet, and they muttered, "What a shame that bridges aren't invented yet." So this is the mean grizzlies looking at the duck-bills on the other side, and they wish they could get to the other side. Now a little Compsognathus, but for short we call him Comp, found a duckbill egg and stole it from a nest beside the swamp. And she swam with it and ran with it and murmured, "Clever me, and won't the baby Comp be thrilled with duckbill eggs for tea?" So there we go, they're stealing an egg. Anyway. She dropped the egg in terror and in running for her life followed the mean Tyrannosaurus and his grim and grisly wife. And the duckbill eggs went rolling, and at last it came to rest in, of all unlikely places, the Tyrannosaurus nest. Now the mother T had great big jaws and great enormous legs, but her brain was rather little, and she couldn't count her eggs. And she sang, "Hatch out my terrors with your scaly little tails, and your spiky little toothies, and your scary little nails." Well, mommy talking to her eggs. Out hatched baby 1 and 2, as perfect as can be. But Mother T was horrified by baby number 3. And she grumbled, "He looks weedy." And she grumbled, "He looks weak." And she grumbled, "What long arms. And look, he smiles like a beak." There we go, the duckbill with the terrible Tyrannosaurus. "He just needs feeding up," said Dad. It gave the baby some meat. The first 2 gulps and guzzled, but the third refused to eat. And he said, "I'm really sorry." And he said, "I simply can't." And he said, "This meat looks horrible. I'd rather eat a plant." "A plant," yelled Mom in horror. And Dad said, "Get a grip." His sisters found a name for him, Tyrannosaurus Drip. And they shouted up with hunting, and they shouted up with war, and they shouted up with bellyfuls of duck-billed dinosaur. Poor Tyrannosaurus Drip tried hard to sing along, but the others yelled, "You silly Drip, you got the words all wrong." For they hooted down with hunting, and they hooted down with war, and they hooted down with bellyfuls of duck-billed dinosaur. That's the poor duck trying to sing with the others, but he can't. Drip's sisters soon grew big enough to hunt with Mum and Dad, but they turned on Drip and told him, "You're not fierce enough to come." And he cried, "They're gone without me." And he cried, alack-a-day, and he cried, "This doesn't feel like home. I'm going to run away." Oh, poor duckball. So he ran off to the river, where he saw a lovely sight, a herd of duckbill dinosaurs, all hooting with delight. And they hooted up with river, and they hooted up with reeds, and they hooted up with bellyfuls of juicy water weeds. As he stood there on the bank, a sudden urge took hold of him, and he jumped into the water and discovered he could swim. And the duckbills came to greet him by the rushy river's edge, and they hooted, "Nice to see you," and they hooted, "Have some veg." Oh, so look, he's swimming with the other duckbills now, and he's so happy. And Drip, who was delighted that they hadn't run away, ate bellyfuls of water weeds and played with them all day. Then he gazed into the river and he asked them, "Who, oh who, is that creature in the water?" And they laughed and said, "That's you." That night the lightning cracked and a storm blew down a tree, and it fell across the river, and the trees cried, "Yippee!" Oh, and they shouted up with hunting, and they shouted up with war, and they shouted up with bellyfuls of duckbill dinosaurs. So because of the storm, a log broke and covered the river, so to go to the other side. Go. Drip's sister stepped onto the bridge, but they began to frown, for there in front of them stood Drip, who yelled, "Look out, look down." And they looked into the water, and they each let out a yelp, and one cried, "Water monster," and the other cried, "Help." So when they got an image of themselves in the water, they ran away. Their mother scolded, "Nonsense," and she joined them on the tree. But she looked into the water and exclaimed, "Good gracious me." The three of them stood trembling, and Dad said, "Get a grip. You all of you are drippy as Tyrannosaurus Drip." He strode onto the bridge and scoffed, "I bet there's nothing there." Then he looked into the water and he jumped into the air. That's Dad now looking at water. Oh, I wonder what he saw. And how the duckbills hooted when he landed with a crash, and the tree's bridge broke, and 4 Tyrannosaurus went splash. So lucky for the duckbills, the tree log broke. And they spluttered and clung to the branches of the trees. They went swishing down the waterfalls and all the way to sea. And the duckbills hooted happily. They hooted, "Hip, hip, hooray," for the heroic one and only duckbill Drip. Oh, so he became a hero. What a lovely story. The end. I hope you enjoyed that grade 1. I'll see you next time. Bye.